Hello and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. In this one we're going to be having a look at 3 different drafts that I've put together based on different types of play style. So the first one we're going to be looking at is a really safe draft. The next one's going to be an ultra aggressive draft, and then the third one is going to be a kind of amalgamation of the two, a bit of a mixed, a balanced draft. So the first one we're going to look at is a safe draft, so let's get into it. Okay, so this is the first draft. This is the safe draft, and it's safe for a couple of reasons. Now, firstly, we've got rotating goalkeepers, 4.5 million options, and the reason that this is safe is that if one of them gets suspended or rotated or injured or something, then you don't have to use a transfer. You've got the other goalkeeper there. You can also rotate them for whatever fixtures they may have. Maybe Petrovic has got a better fixture one week. For game week 1, for example, Keller has got a much better fixture. But it's mainly if one of them gets injured or suspended or rotated, then you've got another guy there for safety. Now, into defence, Wan-Bissaka is the most owned defender. He's pretty nailed, but it's mainly because he's the most owned defender that he is in here. Now, obviously going with high ownership players is safe, because if you don't own somebody who's really high owned, then they haul and get 6, 8, 10 points, then you're likely to lose quite a lot of ground. Whereas if Wan-Bissaka does haul, then you own him, so you won't lose out too much. Now, these other two, Murillo and Van Dijk, are safe for obvious reasons. They're both centre-backs. They're both pretty nailed. I can't see a world where both of these guys don't play in their teams. Now, Murillo's also safe because he's got a few different routes to points. Defensive contribution points, he's good for bonus points. Van Dijk is one that, again, has loads of different routes. He's good for defensive contribution points, clean sheets, attacking returns, and they're both pretty nailed. Van Dijk is also pretty high owned, so he kind of shields against that as well. And Murillo, Forest have the best fixture run to start with, so starting with one of their defenders is a pretty good idea. The other defenders on the bench, Esteve is, again, just someone who is safe in the sense that you shouldn't need him, but he should get minutes, so he's fine. Konza, again, is one of the safest players for minutes. He's also pretty high owned, and Villa do have a good start to their season. Fixture wise, now we go into the midfield. Rodgers, Palmer, Salah, all very high owned, all very good for minutes. Palmer and Salah both on penalties as well. Just really safe options. Anderson and Caicedo, again, 2 players that should be really good for defensive contribution points this year, but also 2 players that are very safe for minutes. They all play pretty much every game they're available for. And then going into the forwards, we've got Watkins and Bowen. Now, again, both of these players will play football. They're not minutes risks in any sense. Bowen could be on penalties, but he's just going to play 90 minutes most games, and he is actually quite high owned as well. Watkins, again, will just start every game. There's a chance that he's on penalties, potentially not, but that's what I mean by safe. I mean that they'll get good minutes, and they've got different routes to points as well. Strand Larsen is one who is also pretty safe. He's not very expensive, but with Cunha gone, he could well be on penalties for Wolves. But regardless, he scored 14 goals last season, so he will be the starting striker for Wolves. When he's available, he will play, he will get minutes. We don't have to worry about him. Another reason that this team is pretty safe is because it's got 2 good bench options. So again, if someone like, any of the players that are in the starting 11, if they get a suspension or an injury, then you've got players to call upon on your bench without having to make any transfers. So that's the safe draft. Now let's have a look at the ultra aggressive draft. Okay, now this draft is a bit more aggressive, actually a lot more aggressive. The one position that isn't though is the goalkeeper position. So Kelleher has a 4.5 million option still, and then a 4 million option on the bench. I've got Darlow in here. This could be Dubravka if he makes a move to Burnley and becomes first choice there. Then it wouldn't really be that much of an aggressive play. You'd just have a cheap goalkeeper that plays and then a slightly less cheap goalkeeper that plays. But if we don't have a 4 million playing option, then it's only aggressive because if Kelleher gets suspended or injured or rotated, then you're going to have to make a transfer to get a playing goalkeeper. But to be honest, it's not exactly a particularly aggressive play. Now, the defence is probably the most aggressive part of this team. So Esteve is just a 4 million option. He's still in here. I mean, there is actually potentially more aggressive 4 million options. There's a couple of fullbacks, but it doesn't really matter who you've got there. You won't need to play them, probably. Now, The other guys though, Juve, Aït-Nouri, Kerkez, De Kuyper, all very attacking left backs or left wing backs. Now, starting with Juve, he has been signed by West Ham for about 19 million. If you haven't seen the recent pre-season game or the highlights, he put 2 absolutely unbelievable balls into Bowen, and Bowen scored off one of them. He got an assist off the other one. So he is very, very attacking, has very, very good deliveries with his left foot, meaning that he should get quite a few assists this season. Now, obviously, he's a new signing, so we don't know if he's completely nailed, but the amount of money they spent on him means that he probably should be. Now, Aït-Nouri, he obviously plays for Man City, so a very good defence, and we know how attacking he is from his days in Wolves. So the only reason he's so aggressive is because obviously he's completely not nailed in that defence. You'd think that he would play a lot of games, but we saw Gvardiol play left back quite a lot last season. So there is options for him to not play, meaning that does make him quite aggressive because he's not a nailed pick like the centre-backs that we picked in the other team. And Kerkez, again, he's just a much more aggressive option than Van Dijk because, again, he's not as nailed, although he should be pretty nailed, to be honest. And he is just ridiculously attacking. We saw that from when he was at Bournemouth. De Kuyper's one that is certainly not nailed. Brighton do have other options in that left-back area. Estupiñán looks to have left the club now, but they still have other options there, like Hinshelwood, Kadioglu potentially as well. But we know how attacking De Kuyper is as well. So these are 4 very, very attacking fullbacks, which if they all play, then could get a crazy amount of attacking returns. Now, in the midfield, we've still got Salah, we've still got Palmer. I don't think we need to play around with them and make them more aggressive options. But we've got Donyell Marlin in here instead of Rodgers. Now, he's more aggressive in that he's a little bit cheaper. He's 5.5 million rather than 7 million that Rodgers is. But also, he has probably a bit more goal threat. In pre-season, he's got 3 assists and 2 goals in 3 games, I think it is. Now, obviously, he didn't get many minutes last season. Rashford and Asensio were there. They're now not. So he has got quite a lot of minutes in this pre-season. He's obviously just very far from nailed because he didn't play many minutes last season and there's no kind of guarantee that he will this season either. But if he does, then he could be really nice at 5.5 million. Tijani Reinders, obviously Man City have recently signed him from Milan. And last season he got 10 goals and 4 assists. Now, we will need to see where he plays for Man City because Rodri will play as the deepest player you'd imagine. And then Reinders will play as one of the slightly more attacking midfielders you'd hope. And he's only 5.5 million. So he could be an absolute bargain. 10 goals, 4 assists last season would be a lot of FPL points, especially for 5.5 million. So again, he's not nailed, which is a reason that he's aggressive as such, but a really good option if he does get the minutes. And then Florian Wirtz, this is aggressive because it's a double up on Liverpool, and also he is a new signing, so I guess there's no guarantee in his minutes or where he's going to play, but I wouldn't be particularly worried about Wirtz's minutes, to be honest. He started pre-season really well too, and another reason it's aggressive, like I say, is because you've got a double up, meaning that you could get a Wirtz goal, Salah assist, and vice versa, which would be really nice. Similar to João Pedro and Palmer. João Pedro is aggressive again because if he gets really good minutes, then he's a fantastic option at 7.5 million. He's less aggressive in the sense that he's over 50% owned, so in that sense it's safe, but I just think that his minutes aren't that secure. He should start most games, but Delap may come on for 30 minutes at the end. And Gyökeres, he is another aggressive one in that there's a chance he's on penalties. If he gets nailed 90 minutes, then he just looks ridiculous value at 9 million. But there is obviously a world where Havertz plays some games up top, especially at the beginning of the season, and also Saka could just stay on penalties, or someone else like Odegaard. But you cover some big teams here. You cover Arsenal, Chelsea twice, you cover City, you cover Liverpool twice. It's very aggressive on the big teams. There's just a lot of minutes risks and a lot of question marks. But there is also 1 million in the bank in this draft. So I couldn't really find a place to upgrade it much more. I mean, you could upgrade one of the defenders to a 5.5 million defender. You could upgrade Reinders or Marlon, but I don't really think you need to be honest, if you want to play ultra aggressive. Also, you may want to keep that 1 million in the bank just in case one of these guys doesn't play and you need to make some changes. You've got a bit of a buffer. But that's the aggressive draft. We've looked at the safe draft. Now we're going to look at a bit of a mix of the two and a more balanced one. Okay, now this draft just essentially takes a few players from both and is a bit more balanced. So Kelleher and Darlow is still the option. I don't think you need two 4.5 million goalkeepers really. Wan-Bissaka instead of Juve is just a little bit more safe for minutes. Aït-Nouri's still there because he should be okay minutes wise, and you've got Konza who's a really safe option on the bench if Aït-Nouri isn't fine minutes wise. Murillo again is one of the safe options that we picked. Rodgers, Palmer, Salah should all get really good minutes, and there's quite a lot of upside in Rodgers anyway. So I'm not sure that Marlon is worth the risk over Rodgers really. Anderson is one that is just very safe. Now he's a much more safe option than someone like Reinders, than someone like Marlon. So he is a safe part of this draft. Wirtz, I mentioned that I don't think we need to worry too much about Wirtz's minutes. He's a new signing, but he just should get great minutes. I mean, they paid a lot of money for him. He's played a lot of minutes in pre-season. He's been very good in pre-season. And Liverpool are just the best attack in the league. So doubling up isn't particularly that much of a risk. Then Watkins and João Pedro. I've got Watkins in there because their fixtures are so good and we know he'll get good minutes. João Pedro stays from the aggressive draft just because, in one sense, he's aggressive because of the minutes, but also he's quite safe in that he's one of the most high-owned players in the game. I think he's actually second behind Salah at the moment. So you are mixing aggressive with safe quite nicely with him. And then the bench, you've got a couple of playing options. You've got Konza, who is as safe as it gets. He just will get minutes. Not loads of points, but he'll get minutes. And then Marc Guéhi and Esteve. Marc Guéhi, now, I'm not actually going to be too sure if he's going to be a starting option yet. He's only just moved to Sunderland, but he may be. He also may not. He'll probably get minutes, so in that sense, he's a bit safe. And Esteve should just get really good minutes, so he's about as safe as it gets from a 4 million option anyway. So that's the 3 teams. Let me know which one you prefer in the comments. And if you did like the video, do hit like, do subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.